Hi everyone, and welcome to Rainier View. My name is Mike. Thank you so much for joining us today. For those of you that are new with us, we have several resources for you at RVCC.online. These include a great lesson for your kids, links to our online service for students, and more. You can also submit a connection card to us to let us know a little bit about you and your family, as well as any prayer requests, so that members of our team can be praying for your needs. We're going to start off the service with a couple of worship songs, followed by a message, and then I'll come back to close out with a time of communion. Thanks again for being here with us, and enjoy the service.
At your name, the mountains shake and crumble. At your name, the oceans roar and tumble. At your name, angels will bow, the earth will rejoice, your people cry out. Lord of all the earth, we shout your name, filling up the skies with endless praise, Yahweh, Yahweh, we love to shout your name, oh Lord. At your name, the morning breaks in glory. At your name, creation sings your story. At your name, angels will bow, the earth will rejoice, your people cry out. Lord of all the earth, we shout your name, filling up the skies with endless praise, Yahweh, Yahweh, we love to shout your name, oh Lord. Sing, there's no one like our God. There is no one like our God. We will praise you, there's no one like our God. We will sing, there is no one like our God. We will praise you, there's no one like our God. We will sing, there is no one like our God. We will praise you, Jesus, you are God. We will sing. Lord of all the earth, we shout your name, filling up the skies with endless praise, Yahweh, Yahweh, we love to shout your name. Lord of all the earth, we shout your name, filling up the skies with endless praise, Yahweh, Yahweh, we love to shout your name, oh Lord. The sun comes up, it's a new day dawning. It's time to sing your song again. Whatever may pass and whatever lies before me, let me be singing when the evening comes. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I'll worship Your holy name. You're rich in love and You're slow to anger. Your name is great and Your heart is kind. For all Your goodness I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. And bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. I'll worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I'll worship Your holy name. And on that day when my strength is failing, the end draws near and my time has come. Still my soul will sing Your praise unending. 10,000 years and then forevermore. And bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. I'll worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I'll worship Your holy name. And bless the Lord, oh, my soul, oh, my soul. I'll worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I'll worship Your holy name. I'll worship Your holy name. I'll worship Your holy name.
Thank you, worship team. I love that line on the song 10,000 Reasons that reads, "Whatever may pass and whatever lies before me, let me be singing when the evening comes." It's such a great reminder that no matter what life holds, our God is worthy of worship through it all. We want to make sure that you're staying connected during this time, and here are some ways that you can do that. You can sign up to receive our church emails, you can follow us on Facebook, or you can also follow us on Instagram. Serve Sunday is coming up quick, and it's one of our favorite days of the year. This is an opportunity for us to continue partnering with our local schools as we help to beautify campuses. It's going to be taking place on August 30th. Signups are live right now, so you can do that by visiting rainierview.org/events. A few weeks ago, we hosted our outdoor praise night at the Graham campus, and it was great to be able to spend that time worshiping with one another. We're doing the same thing tonight, August 16th, at our Parkland campus. You're invited to join us at 6:30 for about an hour of worship and singing. We will still be required to wear masks and physically distance from each other, but it will be well worth it, and we hope to see you there. At RVCC, we love to be generous. If you call Rainier View your church home, you can give by simply texting RVCC to 77977 to use our safe and secure online system. You can also give from our website or mail in your check. If you're new with us, don't feel obligated to give it anyway. We are just glad that you're here today. All right, well, let's join Erica as we continue on in our series, Essential.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us this morning. If we haven't met yet, my name is Erica and I am our Graham Student Ministry Pastor and a member of our teaching team here at Rainier View. Some other helpful things to know about me. I'm an extrovert and I enjoy traveling. If you know an extrovert who enjoys to travel, just say an extra prayer for them right now. Like, we're not getting to do any of the things that we enjoy doing, so just Just think about them. But one of the things that I love about travel are vacation anecdotes. And I love hearing the vacation anecdotes from my friends especially. And I have a whole bunch of reasons that I love them, but we've got limited time together. So I'll give you 3 right now. 1, I love my friends. If you love your friends, you listen to their anecdotes. It's a thing. Even if they're not great at telling stories, you want to hear about what's important to them. 2, I love vacation anecdotes because I love hearing about how my friends transform on vacation. What's important to them? What do they do? What do they not do anymore? For example, I am a super stressed out person the rest of my life, but on vacation, I'm like, just tell me when to be in the car. I don't care. Do I bring snacks? Do you bring snacks? It's really, really simple. The 3rd reason I love vacation anecdotes, and this one is a little bit selfish, is it usually paves the way for me to tell the story of our ill-fated vacation van rental one time in Hawaii. So pre-vacation, Andersons are always looking for the best deal possible. Now, this particular trip to Hawaii happened because my parents own their own business, and if they sell a certain amount of product from a certain supplier, they send them on a free trip to Hawaii. Well, they pay for the hotel, and it's a really, really fancy hotel. Side note, my parents run a heating and air conditioning business, not some other kind of business. Just let's clear that up. So they're paying for the hotel, and it's the super fancy hotel that we would not normally be staying in. Which means everything else we've got to pay for. We've got to pay for airfare, we've got to pay for the van rental and things like that. So my dad is pumped because he has found the best rental possible. He's like, I found this amazing price. And we're like, yeah, let's do it, woohoo! So we get off the airplane and I start to follow the arrows to the shuttle to take you to where you get the rental car. Only to find out that there is no shuttle to take us to rent this van. No, we will be walking. And that should have been like my first red flag that something here would be amiss. And so we walk and we walk and we walk to the very last row of cars in the airport parking lot. And one of the ways that this van rental was so cheap is they've really cut down on overhead costs. So there is no building there for us to go and rent this car from. Instead, you call them, they tell you which car is yours, and there's a lock box on the back. And you put in a code and you get the key, and that's how you get your car. We find our van, and it doesn't look great from the outside, but we're like, it's vacation, no big deal, we'll roll with it. And then we open the inside. And did you know that there's foam underneath your steering wheel? Because I learned that, because the entire cover of the steering wheel worn off. There is a weird black residue on the seat of the car, on the seat belts. It was like getting on our clothes, and the air conditioning did not work, and the doors did not lock to this van. In any other time or station of life, we would have made a change and done something different, but no, this is vacation. We can roll with it. It's fine. So we get to the hotel, and instead of like piling out of the van because we're so excited, we more like flop out because we're just sweaty and gross and like, I don't want to be seen with my family anymore. Get me away. But the next morning we say, hey, let's go on an adventure. Let's go exploring. And we go down, and again, this is a super fancy hotel, so they have mandatory valet. So we go to the valet and we say, hey, we want to get our car, and we're sitting and we wait and we wait and we wait. And we see people come and go with their cars. And finally, the guy that ran to get our car, he comes running out of the parking garage and says, hey, I'm so sorry, your car won't start. What? No, it's just, we're all standing there and it's this, what do we do now? Eventually they get the car to start, and my dad calls the company and says, hey, this just isn't really gonna work for us. We're gonna bring the car back and we're gonna rent from someplace else. Here's the kicker. The company knows that this is what they are doing. And he's like, yeah, man, we get it, full refund. What? This is wild. This is the last picture that our family took in that dreaded van. We took lots of other photos, but this was just on our way. We were very relieved to not have to ride this rental car anymore. Vacation anecdotes, they're really fun. But there's a problem with vacation anecdotes, which is, based on that story, you might have thought that my family and I had just one crazy, loony, antic-full trip to Hawaii. Or maybe we didn't have a great time. But instead, actually, that trip in 2015 was one of the most important vacations we would take. We'd had a really rough start to the year, and we laughed more than we had in months, and we got dressed up, and my sisters ran through fountains. It was the best. Vacation anecdotes are also kind of a trap we can fall into when we read the Bible. Oftentimes when we go through and we're reading the Bible and we find something that doesn't fit the rest of the story that's being told or seems a little out there or hits differently than everything else does, we tend to spend time there and we camp out there and we spend more time there than we do paying attention to the rest of the story. It doesn't mean that this part of the Bible isn't true, and it doesn't mean that this part of the Bible is unimportant. It's just a little bit different. And when we spend too much time there, we miss the full story that God is telling. And we're in a part in this letter to the Thessalonians that is kind of a vacation anecdote, or can easily become a vacation anecdote for people. If this is your first time watching one of our videos this summer, we are in a series called Essential, and we are doing a study through 1 Thessalonians. So I encourage you, go back, watch what other people have said. We've really built into right here. We've talked a lot about the context and the background and the people and what's happening. And last week, Corey preached a sermon about what happens when people die. And then there's a conversation about people being reunited in the air. And that can easily be a vacation anecdote because what? That's weird. That's unexpected. But Paul does what he always does, which is he points us back to the bigger story that's being told. And so today we're going to be in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 1. And this is what it reads. Now, brothers and sisters, about times and dates we do not need to write to you, for you know very well that the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night. While people are saying peace and safety, destruction will come on them suddenly, as labor pains on a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. But you, brothers and sisters, are not in darkness, so that this day should surprise you like a thief. Now, if I'm being honest, this passage feels a little bit like biblical whiplash. Because Paul's whole thing was he was a tent maker, and he would go to churches and he would help them learn how to bring God glory and function as a church. But what if Paul had been a professor? Let's pretend that for a moment. Let's pretend that we are sitting in this class that Paul is teaching. Paul says, hey, you know what? Here's what's going to happen when people die. We're going to be reunited in the air. And then he says, but don't worry about it. You don't need to know everything. I would have shot my hand so high in the air and been like, excuse me? I don't need to worry about this now? How can you tell me one thing, this like crazy thing, and not give me all of the details? I can't fly. I don't have to worry about my loved ones. And Paul would have looked at me and said, hey, Erica, let's talk about this in office hours, okay? You're kind of derailing everything we're doing here. And then I would show up to office hours and I would be equally as passionate about it. I was a real gem to have in a college class. But Paul is doing what he always does, which is he is reminding us about the bigger story. He is reminding us about what is happening. What is God asking of us? He would remind my class. He reminds me, he reminds you, he reminds this early church that we don't have to worry about it because Jesus took care of it. Because Jesus came to earth and he lived a perfect life. And he went to the cross and he died and then he rose 3 days later, proving and reminding us that even the most final thing for us as humans, death, Jesus has power over it. And for us to be reminded of that right now feels intangible sometimes. The cross feels so far away from where we are in 2020 that we don't always remember it. But for the Thessalonians, this felt comforting. They were like, oh yeah, that's right. This is what we're doing. This is what we're going for, because they were much closer to that moment in history. Whenever there are intangible things, when things feel intangible, up in the air, unknown, we always run to what is tangible. I don't know about you, but when quarantine started, I made a bucket list. I was like, we're in this for a month. It'll be fine. We'll do a whole bunch of fun stuff to pass the time when I don't get to see any of my friends. I've since ditched this list because I would just have to keep making lists, and it was getting to be too much. Or when a loved one gets sick, we suddenly run to Dr. Google to see what we can learn. If a relationship in our life isn't going as well, suddenly our house is cleaner than it has ever been, and we're still stuck trying to figure out what to do. Running to tangible things isn't an inherent problem, But what is a problem is that we oftentimes use that to mask the problem that is really lying underneath. We put our hope in these other things when instead we should be putting our hope in Jesus. I've had to be reminding myself daily about this, that the hope of Jesus is enough. Because as soon as quarantine hit, all of the things I previously put my hope in, a normal ministry schedule, travel, some family dynamics because we were all able to see each other, they were gone. And I really struggled. What is it that we put our hope in? If the false hope of this world is not cutting it for you anymore, put your hope in Jesus. In fact, if you are ready to take that step and put your hope in Jesus, fill out our digital connect card and someone from our staff will be in contact with you this week. But if you've already put your hope in Jesus, first of all, let this morning be a reminder to you that Jesus took care of it. That it is not about us being good enough or talented enough or smart enough or prepared enough. Jesus took care of it. But then Paul does what he always does again, which is he doesn't just say like, cool, sit around, eat some ice cream, wait for Jesus to show back up. No. He then gives us a call. Once we have put our hope in Jesus, here is what we do. This is in verse 5. You are all children of the light and children of the day. We do not belong to the night or to the darkness. So then let us not be like others who are asleep, but let us be awake and sober. For those who sleep, sleep at night, and those who get drunk at night. But since we belong to the day, let us be sober, putting on faith and love as a breastplate, and the hope of salvation as a helmet. For God did not appoint us to suffer wrath, but to receive salvation through our Lord Jesus Christ. He died so that whether we are awake or asleep, we may live together with him. Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. The other reason that I love vacation anecdotes is that anytime there is a change in someone's routine and normal life, they suddenly pay attention to things they never noticed before. So whether you get to leave your house or you do a staycation, or the word staycation feels like nails on a chalkboard to you and you're just pumped because you don't have to go to work for a chunk of time. Anytime there is a break in our normal routine, we get super excited. If you are a Christian, it is essential that you pay attention to the work that God is doing in the world around you. Maybe it's the work that God is doing in your own life. Maybe it's the work that he is doing in the lives of those around you or in your neighborhoods or your communities. But we have to be paying attention to what is happening. We cannot be asleep to it. We have to be awake and we have to be noticing. In 2015, before my family and I rented a terrible minivan and had the best trip ever, we had a really tough start to the year. And it really jolted me out of just this normal way that I was living my life. And for the first time, I noticed the flowers that were blooming in my parents' front yard. There were some tulips, and the thing with tulips is they're bulbs, and so they go underground and they survive a harsh, cold, dark winter here in Washington, to only bloom in full beauty in spring. And it felt like a reminder to me from God that if I keep paying attention, if I keep following him, if I keep going, that in this darkest moment, I would bloom someday again. I paid attention to the light that was breaking through the darkness, and it began to heal me. As God's love begins to heal you, you have to share it. In fact, I think that you will share it. For the same reason that we get so pumped about talking about the miracle cures of garlic and vapor rub and elderberry syrup. As God heals what's going on inside of you and the darkest spots in your life with his light, you can't help but share about it. But you've got to be paying attention. You don't get to be awake. You don't get to be asleep to it. But let's be honest here. It feels really hard to keep being awake right now. I feel like every day I open up my phone and I learn something new that makes me crazy. In fact, I find myself yelling at my phone so often that I'm so glad it's not an actual human in my life, because they would no longer be my friend. And so what do we do about that? We keep putting our hope in Jesus. I was talking with one of our staff members a while back, and he was relatively new to being on staff, and so we were getting to know one another, and I said, "Oh, I'm an optimist." He looks me square in the eyes, and he goes, "You know, optimists were the first to die in World War II." What? I was so caught off guard by him saying this to me. No one had said anything like that to me. But then I went and I researched it, and it turns out that yes, that's true about World War II. It's also true about prisoners of war. That optimists will die first, and it's not because being an optimist is wrong and being a pessimist is right. In fact, I tried being a pessimist a few weeks ago, and it didn't go well. It wasn't me. The problem is that many of those optimists were putting their hope in the wrong thing. They kept saying, by Christmas we'll be out of here. By Easter we'll be out of here. And then Christmas would come and go, and Easter would come and go, and nothing would change. Everything would stay the same for them, and they would get discouraged and they would give up. So what do? We put our hope in Jesus and nothing else. The world is a mess right now. And if we somehow think that making it to Halloween is going to solve the problem, or getting to turn the calendar to 2021 is going to solve the problem, you will be sorely disappointed. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you. But that doesn't mean that we get to give up, and it doesn't mean that we get to not pay attention. Jesus is doing work in your life every single day. And if we keep being aware of it, we'll keep going. So this is my challenge for you this week. Find a spot that you look at every day. Maybe it is your bathroom mirror, maybe it's your microwave or your dresser where you get ready. And I want you to write this out and put it there. This is my own bathroom mirror, actually, and it says, "Do not grow weary of doing good." This is from another letter that Paul wrote to the church in Galatia. It's Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, and he is reminding them again, keep going. Keep bringing God glory. See, for the church in Thessalonica, they were experiencing extreme persecution, but they were still doing the stuff to bring God glory. And right now, in the middle of a global pandemic, you still get to do that stuff. At Rainier View, our vision is that every neighborhood in Pierce County would be engaged by believers and transformed by Jesus. Guess what? You're spending more time in your neighborhood now than you ever have. Are you seizing that time to bring the kingdom of God here on earth? And you can't do it on your own power, and you can't do it on your own strength, and so you can't grow weary, and you have to be reminded every single day that God is near, that God cares, that God is present, that God is doing something in your midst. And here's the good news. No one's coming to your house right now. So no one's going to be like, why do you have that weird thing written on your mirror? Or why do you have that thing taped to your microwave? It's the perfect time to be reminded that every day God is near. That every day you get to be part of doing something. Growing weary in this season is inevitable, but not if we pay attention to what God is doing.
As Erica said, it's essential that you pay attention to the work that God is doing. As we become more aware of how God is constantly doing good, that can serve as a motivation for us to keep doing good and loving those around us. Remember to stay connected and up to date with us by receiving all of our church email, following us on social media, and especially on our website. Stay tuned if you'd like to join us for a communion moment. Otherwise, we'll see you next week as we close out our series, Essential. Erica encouraged us to write the words of Galatians 6:9 in places where we'll easily see it, to be reminded to not grow weary of doing good. And each week during our worship service, we take time to participate in communion, which is a reminder of what Jesus did for us. Jesus is our ultimate example of someone who never grew weary doing good, all the way to the cross. In this time, we encourage you to take a piece of bread, which reminds us of Jesus' body, how he allowed himself to die, taking our punishment for sin. And then you can take a cup of juice, which reminds us of the blood of Jesus, how it's only by his blood that we can be forgiven. So take as much time as you need to be able to remember what Jesus has done for you because of his incredible love.